Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tangmen based on novel. So let's start. The diamond-shaped star anise crystal entity was completely revealed on the star anise mysterious ice grass body, exuding a pure chilly intent. In Huo Yuhao's spiritual sea, the Sky Dream Iceworm exclaimed, "What an excellent guy. The purity and concentration of the ice element in that far exceeds the 10,000-year ice pith that I absorbed years ago. This must be the essence of the extreme chill ice spring that he has refined over 10,000 years." The ice grass weak voice sounded, "Since I'm leaving with you, I don't need this anymore. This is the star anise ice crystal that I've cultivated for over 10,000 years. Keep it. It'll increase your cultivation speed if you carry it along with you. If it's embedded into a weapon, it can confer the strength of ultimate ice to any metal. The essence of my 10,000 years of cultivation lies in it." After hearing his words, Huo Yuhao's expression turned serious. He hadn't expected the ice grass to offer his most valuable item to him so sincerely. At this point, he was no longer doubtful. As he received the ice crystal, he sensed the extreme chill on it. He said seriously, "Star Anise, thanks for your trust. I believe you won't be disappointed. Let's start." Huo Yuhao was by this point extremely familiar with the process of spirit transmission, having been completely occupied with it over the past few months. His eye of destiny shone brightly on his forehead, and rose-gold sunray patterns slowly released halos out from it. The hexagram beneath Huo Yuhao's feet was also rose-gold. His martial soul immediately switched, and the original 7 rings turned into 5 rings, 1 red and 4 orange gold. All 5 soul rings represented immense strength and ultimate power. Huo Yuhao raised his right hand, a ball of rose gold light shining there. His low-pitched yet awe-inspiring voice could be heard as he recited the incantation of the equal contract. A streak of rose gold light shot out from his eye of destiny and landed on the ice grass body. It was guiding his spiritual origin and soul power. The uppermost leaf on the ice grass was suddenly stained bluish gold, but he started to wither. The extreme chill ice spring surged gently, and waves of pure chilly intent were released. It was like the ice spring couldn't bear to let the ice grass go. The snow lady silently flew to the side of the spring and used her body to block these waves of chilling intent. The origin energy of ultimate ice that she absorbed was used to supplement Huo Yuhao through her connection with him. Behind Huo Yuhao, his huge eye of the azura silently rose. It had nothing to do with his spirit eyes, but came under the guidance of his eye of destiny. His incantation was working more smoothly now, compared to the past. Streaks of elegant light started to shine from Huo Yuhao's body, and brushed across the star anise mysterious ice grass. As of now, Huo Yuhao already had 2 spirits, the Sky Dream Iceworm and Snow Empress. The Ice Empress was his second martial soul. Initially, Huo Yuhao had drained almost all of his spiritual power when he fused with the Snow Empress. As for the Sky Dream Iceworm, changing into Huo Yuhao's spirit only required him to alter his form slightly, given that he was already Huo Yuhao's soul ring and possessed great spiritual power. As a result, Huo Yuhao wasn't drained too much when he fused with the Sky Dream Iceworm. No matter what, Huo Yuhao already possessed 2 spirits that had greater than 100,000-year cultivations. If not for the fact that his spiritual power had reached the concrete material realm, he wouldn't have dared to fuse with a third 100,000-year spirit. However, he was filled with confidence right now. His spiritual power surged out and fused with the star anise mysterious ice grass spiritual origin. They guided each other and drew closer. The ice grass was also astonished right now. Although he could sense how strong Huo Yuhao was earlier, he didn't realize that Huo Yuhao's spiritual power was actually so great. He had never seen spiritual power as pure as this. It completely surpassed all the plant-type soul beasts living near the ice-fire yin-yang well. The contract proceeded very smoothly. When Huo Yuhao's spiritual power was drained by about 40%, the ice grass body finally withered completely. A small and delicate star anise mysterious ice grass, completely ice-blue and seemingly formed from crystals, drifted in front of him. After this ice grass slowly stuck to his right leg before it silently disappeared. All the strange phenomena flashed, then disappeared. It was also at this point that Huo Yuhao's 5 soul rings started to tremble. Following this, a blood-red soul ring appeared as his 6th soul ring. A weird force started to move towards Huo Yuhao's body from the star anise mysterious ice grass. Huo Yuhao only felt his legs suddenly fill with strength as red halos rushed out from his right leg. This was the strength of a soul bone. 100,000-year soul beast was bound to produce a soul bone. This was true even for a plant-type soul beast. After becoming Huo Yuhao's spirit, the soul bone that the ice grass produced directly became the right leg soul bone that Huo Yuhao lacked. Although he didn't know what soul skills it contained, Huo Yuhao immediately sensed the extremely strong aura brought about by his right leg soul bone. 2 soul skills. He was confident that this soul bone would give him 2 extra soul skills. Just as all the plant-type soul beasts and Bei thought the fusion had ended, Huo Yuhao's body suddenly shone brightly with azure light. His clothes burst apart, and the image of the Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion surfaced in the air. After this, Huo Yuhao's form started to change. His body turned translucent, as if he were a jade sculpture. An indescribable force mixed with the extreme chill from his ultimate ice silenced the extreme chill ice spring. He took a step out in the air, and Huo Yuhao strode directly above the ice spring. Vigorous origin energy of ultimate ice instantly surged out from his body. Another red soul ring rose from Huo Yuhao's feet and slowly took form. It was a red that represented 100,000 years. The star anise mysterious ice grass wasn't the first 100,000-year spirit. More accurately speaking, the Snow Empress was the first. It was just that the Snow Empress cultivation was too great, and her body almost blew apart, as things weren't going too well then. That was why she experienced a strange mutation. The Snow Empress gave Huo Yuhao 4 unprecedented orange gold soul rings. Every orange gold soul ring only contained 1 soul skill, but they were already very helpful for Huo Yuhao. However, he didn't completely fuse with a 100,000-year soul beast. Without a soul bone and a soul ring that gave him 2 soul skills, Huo Yuhao's soul power was only slightly boosted, though the purity of his ultimate ice had reached a peak. After all, it was a combination of the Snow and Ice Empresses. The combination of the Snow Empress and the Ice Empress strength even produced Huo Yuhao's strongest soul skill, apart from his 3 ultimate Haodong skills, the Pride of the Ice and Snow Empresses. The star anise mysterious ice grass chose Huo Yuhao without any hesitation, due to the presence of Huo Yuhao's pure ultimate ice. In terms of purity and tier, Huo Yuhao's ultimate ice had already surpassed the extreme chill ice spring. However, the Snow Empress spirit couldn't be considered a full 100,000-year spirit, because it had mutated, and so the star anise mysterious ice grass could be considered his first 100,000-year spirit. The advantage that a spirit had over a soul ring was magnified when it had a 100,000-year cultivation. Given that Huo Yuhao's soul power was sufficiently strong, it was equivalent to him adding 200,000-year soul rings. Undoubtedly, his 6th soul ring provided him 2 extra soul skills. However, no ordinary soul master would add a 100,000-year soul ring to his 7th spot, given that his 7th soul ring was bound to be his martial soul true body. Despite this, Huo Yuhao still did it. The star anise mysterious ice grass also became the 7th soul ring of his Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion. This completed his 100,000-year martial soul true body, the Ice Empress true body. Furthermore, Huo Yuhao could subtly sense that this martial soul true body would be completely different from that of his spirit eyes, because the Ice Empress possessed her own intelligence. It seemed like the Ice Empress aura had increased exponentially after his 7th soul ring appeared. Apart from all these, Huo Yuhao had also gained a right leg soul bone. Right now, he had 6 soul bones. They included the 3-eyed golden lion's skull of destiny, the Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion's backbone, the Ice Jade Scorpion left arm bone, the dark golden Terraclaw bear's right palm bone, the instant teleportation left leg bone, and this newly added star anise right leg bone. 6 soul bones. In the current world of soul masters, this was a shocking number. Even the elders of the Sea Gods Pavilion didn't have this many soul bones. Moreover, Huo Yuhao's 6 soul bones were all top-tier soul bones, normal soul bones couldn't compare to them. The 3-eyed golden lion's skull of destiny was even more special. It controlled the power of destiny, and greatly increased Huo Yuhao's spiritual power. It also helped Huo Yuhao increase his spiritual power capacity. The Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion's backbone and the Star Anise right leg bone were 100,000-year soul bones that each came with 2 soul skills. Huo Yuhao's Ice Jade Scorpion left arm bone carried the ice explosion technique, while his instant teleportation from his left leg bone was an ultimate technique that could help him preserve his life. As for his dark golden Terraclaw bear's right palm bone, it was one of the strongest offensive soul bones in the world. Right now, Huo Yuhao already had 5 out of the 6 main soul bones, missing only a right arm bone. He even had an external soul bone in the dark golden Terror Claw's bare right palm bone, which was very strong. He had twin martial souls, and both martial souls had 7 soul rings. After fusing with the star Anise mysterious ice grass, Huo Yuhao's abilities had increased to a level that his current cultivation couldn't compare to. Lights flashed from the image of the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion on his body, making it seem very lifelike. The glow from it also became stronger, as if it could come to life at any time. The aura of ultimate ice shot towards the sky. In the sky above the mountain valley that contained the Icefire Yin-Yang well, the poisonous miasma released by the jade phosphorus flowers of the 9 absolutes gave way, and the temperature in the entire valley dropped significantly. The blazing sunspring was suppressed, which caused the water in the spring to undulate vigorously. It released waves of heat that maintained a certain temperature around the Icefire Yin-Yang well. After letting out a breath, Huo Yuhao slowly retracted his aura, and his eyes slowly brightened. He thought of something and raised his right hand. A strange stalk of icy blue grass surfaced in his hand. It was a smaller version of the star Anise mysterious ice grass. Huo Yuhao revealed a delighted smile after sensing the difference it brought to his body. "Congratulations, little junior." Bei chortled. Huo Yuhao chuckled and said, "This proves that 100,000-year spirit is indeed very effective. Eldest senior, you must work harder in your cultivation." As he spoke, he scanned his surroundings and looked at the rest of the plants around the Icefire Yin-Yang well. Bei smiled and said, "A spirit has to be willing to complete a contract. Let's go, little junior." Huo Yuhao looked at all the medicinal herbs and said, "Guys, the star anise has already fused with me and become my spirit. All of you should be able to sense the condition that he's in right now. I won't say anything else. Goodbye." After he finished speaking, Huo Yuhao and Bei used their flying-type soul tools and flew out of the mountain valley before the poisonous miasma could return. The Icefire Yin-Yang well was silent at this moment. All the medicinal herbs that had their own consciousness became very thoughtful right now. Huo Yuhao was right. After fusing with him, the star Anise mysterious ice grass was different. Even though he had abandoned his body, his aura had become extremely pure. After fusing with Huo Yuhao wasn't the only who benefited. They had formed an equal contract. The star Anise mysterious ice grass also completed his evolution under the influence of Huo Yuhao's ultimate ice. He turned from a plant to an energy body, and he even became an extremely pure energy body. The change in his aura greatly tempted all the plant-type soul beasts. They were even more moved by the fact that Huo Yuhao mentioned he might become a god, and could give his spirits eternal life. Compared to animal-type soul beasts, plant-type soul beasts were much lonelier. Before they possessed their own intelligence, they couldn't move at all. Even a 100,000-year plant-type soul beast was unwilling to leave the Icefire Yin-Yang well, as it was too reliant on it. The poisonous miasmas of the jade phosphorus flowers of the 7 and 9 absolutes also covered the area outside the well. Apart from the delicate silk immortal, the other immortal and medicinal herbs couldn't leave the well even if they wanted to. This was an important reason why Yu was able to take charge of the well. When the ice grass made his decision, all the plant-type soul beasts were shocked. However, they were all moved after he completed his fusion with Huo Yuhao and managed to evolve. He was able to leave this place and proceed to the human world with a human soul master. He could also experience the beauty of the human world. He might even have a chance to attain eternal life. These weren't the biggest reason why they were moved, however. They were most moved by the fact that the star Anise mysterious ice grass managed to evolve into an extremely pure energy state. In that way, he could regrow using that pure energy even if Huo Yuhao died. Furthermore, his cultivation would only become stronger. All of the plants here were very valuable, formed after absorbing the origin energy of heaven and earth. If they went through everything that the star Anise mysterious ice grass went through, and the soul masters that fused with them died, they could still reabsorb their origin energy. It wouldn't be very difficult. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the Icefire Yin-Yang well was no longer peaceful. All the plant-type soul beasts, with their own intelligence, especially the 100,000-year soul beasts, started to become very restless. Huo Yuhao knew what they were thinking. After he completed his fusion with the ice grass told him about how he was unable to live independently. He didn't conceal anything from Huo Yuhao. Plant-type soul beasts were greatly disadvantaged compared to animal-type soul beasts. However, they had their own advantages, which was that they were purely nurtured from the origin energy of heaven and earth. They didn't have any bloodlines, they only had spiritual energy. The Ice Empress, Sky Dream Iceworm, and Snow Empress were all stronger than the Star Anise. However, they were bound to die if Huo Yuhao died, as they would lose their only source of energy. However, the Star Anise would be able to continue living based on his close connection to the origin energy of heaven and earth. This was the advantage of a plant. The Star Anise mysterious ice grass was already satisfied even though he had only been fused for such a short period of time. Yes, he was extremely satisfied. Furthermore, his future was going to be extremely bright. Perhaps he might really gain eternal life. The Star Anise mysterious ice grass was the quietest among all the medicinal herbs in the Icefire Yin-Yang well. However, he was also the wisest. It might seem his decision to follow Huo Yuhao was very sudden. However, he had in fact pondered it meticulously. Huo Yuhao didn't hesitate to swallow the water from the blazing sunspring to save his loved one and almost lost his life. After going through countless tests from the delicate silk immortal and the blazing delicate apricot, the qualities that he demonstrated proved that he was one of the most outstanding humans in terms of character and abilities. Along with the temptation of Huo Yuhao's ultimate ice, the Star Anise mysterious ice grass knew that his decision was unlikely to backfire on him. Both Huo Yuhao and the Star Anise mysterious ice grass were winners after this fusion. In terms of spirit fusion, a win-win situation was always the best start. After flying out of the setting sun forest, Huo Yuhao controlled his body and said to Bei Bei while facing him, "Eldest Senior, I can't return to the Tang sect with you." Bei Bei wasn't surprised. He smiled and said, "You are going to find Donga, am I right?" Huo Yuhao nodded and replied, "Yes. It's been so long. I wonder how she's doing. I've done most of the things I was supposed to do. I'm going to see her now. When you return, you can also communicate with the soul beasts through the spirit pagoda. Bai Ji is a nice soul beast to talk to. Ask her for help seeking out the Blue Silver Emperor. After I finish visiting Donga, I might go to the border between the Star Luo Empire and Sun Moon Empire. At the same time, I'll try to find out where teacher Xiao Yue is. If possible, I'll save her." Bei Bei took a deep breath and opened his arms wide, hugging Huo Yuhao tightly. "You are my good brother. I'll skip the thanks between us. Don't worry about the Tang sect. If there's anything you need, send a letter back. No matter what your choices are, the Tang sect will always be your ardent backer." The two of them separated like this. Huo Yuhao watched as Bei Bei disappeared into the distance. After he saw him off, he turned around and peered in the direction that he was going to go. He muttered to himself, "I can finally live for myself. Donga, have you awoken? I'm coming." Blinding lights shone from Huo Yuhao's body, and he released his soul power without reservation. His speed increased to its maximum as he powered his flying-type soul tool, shooting towards the Clear Sky sect. He had settled most of the things that he was supposed to settle. Right now, he was set on going home. He couldn't wait to get to the Clear Sky sect, and hoped that Wang Donga would be standing at the gate, waiting to receive him. He knew that Wang Donga was unlikely to have awoken. Otherwise, she would have returned to Shrek Academy to find him. But right now, he hoped that the two sect leaders of the Clear Sky sect had grounded her, and hadn't allowed her to find him, instead of her still being in a deep sleep. He could finally go find her after completing the other matters that he had to attend to. Right now, Huo Yuhao was in a state where he was ready to unleash his 3 ultimate Haodong skills at any time. As Huo Yuhao flew toward the top of Clear Sky Peak and quickly began to climb it, he was already panting. It wasn't just because he didn't rest at all and was drained. It was also because he was nervous. How was Wang Donga? This was simply too important to him. No matter how resilient or mature he was, he still had a weak spot, and that weak spot was Wang Donga. With every step he took, he would pray in his heart. He prayed that Wang Donga would be awake, and could be by his side again. He didn't care about anything else. If she wasn't awake, he wouldn't leave easily even if the 2 sect leaders forced him to leave. He wanted to accompany her. "Who dares to step onto Clear Sky Peak?" a loud voice sounded. Following this, Huo Yuhao could sense the clouds around him moving. It felt like everything was changing. He clearly recalled how Wang Donga had mentioned how dangerous the clouds around Clear Sky Peak were. He couldn't fly, otherwise, he would be attacked by soul beasts. These clouds were a formation. He quietly crept close to walls of the mountain peak. His voice rang out, "I'm Huo Yuhao. I'm here to see Donga." The voice went silent for a moment before it replied, "The Clear Sky sect doesn't welcome you. Leave." Huo Yuhao said, "I want to see Donga." After he finished speaking, he lifted his head. His eyes were already filled with purplish gold light. It was like countless stars were shining in his spirit eyes. His immense spiritual power started to spread into his surroundings from his forehead. He extended his right hand, and the smooth and shiny star Anise mysterious ice grass surfaced. Layers of jade blue light started to spread from the leaf of this ice grass. An extreme chill started to rise. The layers of jade blue light seemed to have their own lives. As they spread, the surrounding clouds quickly dispersed. The bizarre sense contained within these clouds was quickly stirred up. Intense soul power undulations raged, but there was some sort of spiritual confusion that appeared to be even stronger. However, it wasn't able to affect Huo Yuhao, given his immense spiritual power. Huo Yuhao remained rooted to the ground and continued to release the aura of his star Anise mysterious ice grass. The chilly air within the clouds was slowly and continuously being sucked in by the ice grass. Patches of clouds around started to rise, and the concentrated origin energy of heaven and earth started to surge towards Huo Yuhao, with the ice grass as its center. The origin energy that was sucked into the ice grass was filtered and started to pass into Huo Yuhao's body and quickly replenished his soul power, which had been depleted in his rush to Clear Sky Peak. This origin energy wasn't very domineering, but was instead very gentle and pure. After entering his body, it immediately fused with his mysterious heaven technique, and became inseparable. It seemed as if Huo Yuhao's spiritual power was being nourished by the origin energy of heaven and earth. Huo Yuhao was a little stunned as he looked at his ice grass and said softly, "Thanks, Star Anise." The Star Anise mysterious ice grass had given him a total of 4 soul skills. 2 came from the soul bone, and 2 were added to the 6th soul ring of his ice empress. Right now, the Star Anise mysterious ice grass was not demonstrating any of these 4 soul skills. Rather, he had already fused with Huo Yuhao's body. More accurately speaking, the soul skill that the ice grass was unleashing right now seemed to belong to Huo Yuhao's 7th soul ring. It was just that Huo Yuhao couldn't use this soul skill on his own. His 7th soul ring was his martial soul true body, but the ice grass could control it alone and unleash this soul skill to help him. This was an auxiliary type soul skill that helped him absorb the origin energy of heaven and earth, which was something plant-type soul beasts were very adept at. Furthermore, the ice grass even churned the origin energy of heaven and earth around during this absorption process, and broke the Clear Sky sect's mountain guarding formation. In terms of fighting strength, plant-type soul beasts were inferior to animal-type soul beasts. However, plants had a deeper mastery of the principles of heaven and earth. The earlier voice exclaimed slightly. Following this, Huo Yuhao saw several disciples in the Clear Sky sect's uniform block the path in front of him. The road to the top of the Clear Sky Peak was precipitous. People had to use their hands and legs in order to reach the top. Right now, these disciples stuck close to the walls and looked very unfriendly as they looked at Huo Yuhao. "Guys, I'm only here to see Donga. I have no ill intentions," Huo Yuhao said sincerely after putting the ice grass away. A middle-aged man, who was around 30 years old said, "Go back. I said earlier that the Clear Sky sect doesn't welcome you." Huo Yuhao furrowed his brow. "I only want to see Donga. Please return." The burly middle-aged man from the Clear Sky sect glared, and a strong aura was released from his body. 2 yellow, 3 purple, and 3 black soul rings rose from his body. He was a soul sage. The other 6 soul masters also released their soul rings. They were all 5-ringed soul kings, and they all held a pitch-black hammer in their hands. These hammers were called Clear Sky hammers, the powerful tool soul of the Clear Sky sect. Huo Yuhao had almost never seen Wang Donga use her Clear Sky hammer before. However, Wang Donga had twin martial souls. Her Clear Sky hammer was her second martial soul, and thus she didn't use it very often. She mostly used her radiant butterfly goddess to fight. Huo Yuhao was stunned as he faced the strong aura released by these 7 clear sky hammers. Leave now. If you don't blame us for chasing you away, the burly man snorted. Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, I can't leave. I'm here to see Donga. I won't leave before I see her. Guys, please give way to me. The amiable look on his face also retracted. He didn't know whether these disciples were acting of their own accord, or if they were instructed by their sect leaders. However, Wang Donga must not be in good condition if they were trying to stop him. Huo Yuhao, who was normally very calm, would start to get emotional whenever something concerned Wang Donga. His eyes shone with purplish gold light, and 7 soul rings rose from his feet. When everyone from the Clear Sky sect saw the color of his soul rings, their expressions changed slightly. The colors of his soul rings aren't what a normal soul master is supposed to have. What kind of power does this person possess? Huo Yuhao repeated, guys, please give way. Attack, the burly man shouted and lifted his clear sky hammer. His first and third soul rings shone brightly. His clear sky hammer rapidly increased in size as he lifted it up, and instantly turned into a huge hammer more than 10 meters in length. The cross-section of the hammer's head was already more than 2 meters in diameter. The huge hammer was lifted up, then crashed down on Huo Yuhao with a terrifying aura. A cold look surfaced on Huo Yuhao's face. He didn't dodge the attack. Instead, he lifted his right hand to punch this hammer. Without using any soul skills, Huo Yuhao actually used his own fist to resist the powerful clear sky hammer. A loud boom echoed across the entire clear sky peak. Not far away, a huge drift of snow suddenly slid down, causing snowflakes to scatter into the air. The 6 clear sky sect disciples, who were charging down, stopped for a moment. The shock from that sound affected them quite badly. All of them were affected as they glared at Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao's legs had sunk slightly into the ground. However, the clear sky hammer that had hammered down on him was instantly deflected away. The burly man's legs were slightly unstable, and he almost fell off the mountain. What strength is this? He used his fist to resist a clear sky hammer. How is this possible? All the Clear Sky sect's disciples couldn't believe their eyes. Was that even a human's hand? Huo Yuhao's right hand had turned jade green, and there was even a golden glow on it. In front of the beast god Di Tian, he was so small and weak that he couldn't do anything. However, how could he lose against opponents that were either at the same level or inferior to him in terms of cultivation? This was even true if his opponents came from the Clear Sky sect, which was the #1 tool soul sect on the continent. With the strength of his mysterious jade hands and the golden dragon, Huo Yuhao could compare to Wang Chua. This was the legacy of the Emperor Beast. He forced the burly man's clear sky hammer away with his fist, and his eyes shone with a bright light. The surrounding air distorted strangely. In the eyes of all the Clear Sky sect's disciples and that burly man, everything in front of them had turned illusory. Fog seemed to appear again, but it wasn't the cloudy fog that they were familiar with. Huo Yuhao vanished into thin air, just like that. Huo Yuhao had no intention of fighting it out with these Clear Sky sect disciples. He wanted to find Wang Donga. He unleashed his spiritual interference domain to confuse these disciples, whose spiritual power was far weaker than his. Trash, a low-pitched, furious roar sounded out. Huo Yuhao was shocked, and his spiritual interference domain lost its effect for a moment, revealing his body. The second sect leader of the Clear Sky sect, Tai Tan, was standing on the path to Clear Sky Castle with his hands behind his back and looking down coldly at Huo Yuhao, who was trying to climb up. Uncle Tai Tan. After seeing him, Huo Yuhao rushed forward a few steps and greeted him respectfully. Don't call me uncle. I don't have a nephew like you. Leave now. I won't let you see Donga, Tai Tan said coldly. Huo Yuhao bit his lower lip and said, Uncle Tai Tan, how is Donga? Has she awoken? None of that has anything to do with you. You can't even protect her. Why are you here? Tai Tan said coldly. The gate of the Clear Sky Castle was not far behind Tai Tan. However, Huo Yuhao knew that he couldn't enter without Tai Tan's permission. He had experienced Tai Tan's abilities once. He was a transcendent Doluor who possessed terrifying strength and suppression. His spiritual power couldn't mend the gap between them no matter how strong it was. Moreover, he was here to see Donga. He wasn't here to fight. Uncle Tai Tan, everything's my fault. I only want to see Donga. Please let me take a look at her. As he spoke, Huo Yuhao grit his teeth and kneeled down on one knee in front of Tai Tan. Tai Tan's brow moved slightly, but he soon returned to normal. He snapped, "You are a fellow without any backbone. A man's knee can only touch the ground for heaven, earth, and his parents. Don't you have a kneecap? You are turning more and more into a good-for-nothing. How dare you demand to see Donga like that?" Scram. Huo Yuhao raised his head suddenly and looked at Tai Tan seriously. He said, "Uncle Tai Tan, what must I do before you'll let me see her?" Tai Tan snorted in disdain. "If you want to see her, you must defeat me. When you can defeat me, I'll trust that you can protect her. If that happens, I'll let you see her." After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards Clear Sky Castle. It was like he couldn't be bothered to talk to Huo Yuhao anymore. "Uncle Tai Tan, wait a minute." Huo Yuhao suddenly called out as he continued to kneel on the ground. However, he still lowered his head. Tai Tan turned around and asked, "Why? Do you think you can defeat me now? Are you trying to challenge me?" Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, "No, I know there's a huge gap between us." "Great that you know. Now scram," Tai Tan said coldly. Huo Yuhao slowly lifted his head. The purplish gold light in his eyes had already turned rose gold. His eye of destiny also slowly opened. "But I want to try. I want to know how far away I am from you." His yearning for Wang Donga had been torturing him. It wasn't an easy thing for him to come here, but he was being stopped by Tai Tan. He finally couldn't remain composed anymore. Right now, there was only Wang Donga in his mind. He could finally see her if he defeated Tai Tan. While he knew that there was a huge gap between him and Tai Tan, Huo Yuhao still couldn't help but want to try. If he didn't vent, he felt that he might go crazy because he missed Wang Donga too much. Furthermore, Tai Tan had already stated his condition. If he didn't try, how would he know how wide the gap between them was? This video will end here.